All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with Unit 4, Section 1. And Unit 4 is going to build on Unit 3. We're still going to be solving algebraic equations, but this time we're going to build on it and not just do one step, but we're going to add a second step in there. So our first section is having us check possible solutions. So we're going to tell whether the given value of the variable, so in the first example, x equals 5, is a solution of the equation. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that 5 in wherever I see an x. So I'll have negative 15 equals negative 3x plus 15. Negative 15 equals negative 3 times 5 plus 15. Negative 15 equals negative 15 plus 15. Negative 15 does not equal 0, so 5 is not a solution. If we look at number 2, we're going to substitute 20 wherever we see an x. So 20 over 5 minus 6 equals negative 2. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 4 minus 6 does in fact equal negative 2. So this one is a yes, it is a solution. Looking at number 3, still doing the same thing, just substituting that value for x in the equation. So 24 minus 7 does equal 17. So this one checks off. All right. I'm going to have you try number 4, and I'm going to get started straight away with the two-step equations. If you need to pause this video to work number 4, feel free to do so. Also, be sure and check your notes with the answer keys in each classroom. All right, so let's go ahead and think about solving two-step equations. Our goal is still the same and as it was in a one-step equation, and that's to get the variable by itself. So in order to do that, I need to isolate the variable. In our first example, 7x plus 12 equals 26. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that 12, right? The way I get rid of that 12 is doing the inverse operation. So instead of adding 12, I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. And that leaves me with 7x equals 14. You then have a one-step equation that you learned about in Unit 3. So we're going to divide both sides by 7. And our solution is x equals 2. All right. If I were to plug that back in, to check my answers, which is always a great idea. 7 times 2 plus 12, does that equal 26? 14 plus 12, that does equal 26. So we check ourselves off there. All right. I'm going to move on to number 2. So we have negative 10 equals 6x minus 16. I'm going to get that x by itself by adding 16 to both sides. This one leaves me 6 equals 6x. That's a one-step equation now. Divide both sides by 6, and x equals 1. If I were to check that, negative 10 equals 6 times 1 minus 16. 6 minus 16 does give me negative 10. So this one also checks off. All right, moving right along, I'm going to do number 3 for you. First step, still isolating that variable. Get rid of that 6. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. So I then would have negative 3 equals x over 25. Now remember, because we have division, we're going to use the inverse of multiplication. We're going to multiply each side by 25. When I do that, x is by itself, and x equals negative 75. All right, I'm going to let you guys check that one on your own. And if for some reason I made a mistake, please let me know. All right, number 4, same thing. getting rid of the 12 before we start anything else. So we're going to get rid of this 12. I then have x over 9 equals negative 11. I'm going to multiply each side by 9. That leaves me x equals negative 99. All right, friends, when you're ready, go ahead and turn it to page 2, which is on the back. This time we're going to look at solving equations with negative coefficients. So pretty similar, but we just have to be extra careful with our negatives here. So again, I want to get that negative 3x by itself, so I got to get rid of this 25 to start. Negative 3x equals negative 33. I then can divide both sides by negative 3, and I get x equals 11. Number 2, negative 2x minus 47 equals negative 11. I'm going to add 47 to both sides, and that leaves me negative 2x equals 36. When I divide both sides by negative 2, I have x equals negative 18. All right, number 3, moving right along. We're going to do the opposite of minus 22, so we're going to add 22 to both sides to start with, isolating that variable. So we have 8 equals negative x over 3. If you notice, that negative sign doesn't go away. Now, in order to get the x by itself, I'm going to multiply each side by negative 3. And the reason I'm doing that is that because I'm multiplying a negative, not only do my 3's cancel, but my negatives cancel, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So then I'm just left with x equals negative 24. All right. Number 4, we're going to subtract 8 from both sides before we worry about that x. So negative 18 equals negative x over 7. Again, this time we're going to multiply each side by negative 7, right? The 7's cancel, the negatives cancel. X equals 126. So here we're going to read this word problem and actually set it up before we solve. So it says 15 people volunteer for a park cleanup. The number of volunteers increases by 7 people each month for several months. After how many months will there be 50 volunteers? So we're trying to figure out how many months the volunteers served. So we know we start with 15 people. Then we know it increases by 7 people, but we're not sure how many months that happens. But we know our total is 50. So now we just have a two-step equation. If we subtract 15 from both sides to isolate that variable, I have 7x equals 35. If I divide both sides by 7, x equals 5. So your answer, really if we include the units, would be 5 months. A group of 4 friends are playing golf. The total cost of the round of golf is $108. Each person in the group has the same coupon. The total cost of the round with the coupons is $76. How much is the coupon worth? So we know that they pay $76, but if we add 4 coupons to that, it should give us a total of 108. So again, a two-step equation here. That leaves me 4c equals 32, which then we know c equals 8. So the coupon was worth $8. That's a pretty good discount if you ask me. All right, friends, Your review problems in this section are on the distributive property. That is Unit 2, Section 5, if you need to reference that. Make sure you complete all problems before you do your check-in.